For you that the Nets came back down 17 with 7 minutes left in the third.
This is the God's honest truth, Jen. Not at all. Not at all. As I was watching that game in the first half, right, and the Bucks are up 14, 15, 17, whatever, I'm sitting there and I'm going, this is manageable. This is doable. All right, and then obviously it gets early in the third quarter. They're still down double digits. I'm still thinking, okay, the Nets could rally for a few reasons. One, guys, we got to admit, 17 points as a lead in today's NBA is not what it used to be. We see this a lot. We just saw Atlanta rally from an 18-point deficit with the prominence of the three-point shot now. That's not, 17 used to be, it's over pretty much. Now it's got to be close to 30 for me to really feel like, oh, they got no chance of coming back. Look at the Clippers against Dallas, down 30-11 or 30-13. You know, we've seen these things happen time and time again now. So I didn't think 17 points was insurmountable. And I felt like, okay, the Nets are a good three-point shooting team, so maybe Joe Harris gets it going. I thought with James Harden that he was going to start hitting shots. He hadn't even scored to that point. And I was like, at some point, he's going to hit some shots. He's just too good. He never got it going, but he did hit the one shot, the floater on the left side off the glass, three-point play, and that's what started the run. And then he made two incredible passes for backdoor layups to Kevin Durant and Joe Harris. And then Durant, obviously phenomenal performance. But to that point, he had been really good, but he hadn't just taken over. You know, it was looking like, Skip, kind of what you and I said, okay, he'll end up with 35-ish, something like that.
Yep.
But then, obviously, he just caught fire. So I really felt like the Nets still were very much in that game, even at that point early in the third quarter. And, look, the Bucks did help him out. Giannis, from not guarding James Harden, Kevin Durant at all, not guarding him. The Bucks didn't even double KD to get the ball out of his hands or double him or whatever. And so they made some bad plays themselves. Giannis not taking advantage of Harden in the post. Giannis dropping the pass with 15 seconds left from Chris Middleton for a layup or dunk. So the Bucks shot themselves in the foot too. But I wasn't surprised because 17 points. Look, the Bucks should have been up by 30. That would have been a lot more comfortable for them than 17.
I agree. I wasn't shocked at all because I saw this happen on Sunday, even though they were hitting threes, and I tweeted it. I said, I know you're hitting threes, Milwaukee, but y'all need to take y'all butt down inside because if you ever go cold, you see what's going to happen. And that's what happened last night, Chris. Brook Lopez is 7 foot tall. They got nobody because they're using Blake Griffin to guard Giannis. So that means James Harden or Jeff Green is going to guard Brook Lopez. Well, they can guard him if you're 35 feet from the basket. Get your butt down on the block, Lopez. Giannis, you got Joe Harris. You got Jeff Green. You got a one-legged James Harden. And you shooting threes? You shooting fadeaway jumpers? Why? And I don't care. Giannis has been hiding behind this Chris Broussard for the longest time. And you keep voting for him for defensive all-NBA team and defensive player of the year. But he keeps ducking great assignments. And all he wants to do is talk about, I just do what the coach is asking me to do, and he's the greatest player. I was just praying, hoping that he missed. What? Chris Broussard, have you ever heard a guy, if we're not playing, if I'm not going against that guy?
Look,
go ahead.
It's a problem. It's a problem on many fronts. Number one, look, I've been over there to Europe. In their, practices and games with coaches, you think college coaches run the roost. In Europe, the coach runs everything. So I get his mentality is probably, I'm going to listen to the coach, but he does. You're right, Shannon. You can't deny it. He's got to go to Budenholzer. Budenholzer should do it himself, but Giannis has to go to him too and say, give me Kevin Durant. They're the same position. Even if he was a point guard, I'd still say Giannis should try to get on him. But you are the same position, and you still didn't do it. I talked to a former teammate of Larry Bird's this morning, and he said, look, Bird couldn't guard anybody. But if somebody was going off like that, Bird would come in the huddle, and he wasn't saying it hypothetically. He was saying there were times Bird came in the huddle and said, look, this is ridiculous. Give him to me. I'll guard him. And so the fact that Giannis didn't do that is a real blight on his resume for sure.
Prime example, 1988. Dominique got that 47 against Larry. He said, Kevin McHale, you're not doing anything with him. Hell, I might as well take my crack at him.
And what was Larry doing back?
Oh, Larry gave it to him.
He did.
But Skip, sometimes it's just the appearance that, you know what, our best player wants to guard their best player.
I got it. Okay, back to Jenny's question. I feel like both of you are using a little bit of 20/20 hindsight, because I must admit, as the smoke in my head clears, and again, I'm rooting differently than you're rooting because we got cases of due on it, but I've got, what'd you give me, 4 points?
I gave you 4 points.
And I'm thinking, maybe there's a chance, but I doubted it. When they went down down 17 with 7 minutes left in the third quarter, to that point, Milwaukee had answered everything they threw at them. Yep. They threw Jeff Green at him. They threw Blake at him from the three-point line. And Milwaukee would just come right down and say, no, we got this. Mm-hmm. You know, Middleton three, just whoever. Sometimes it would be Giannis. Sometimes Giannis hit a big three at one point.
They rattled around like Kawhi did.
It did. But my point is, the reason I didn't buy it, the reason I thought my 4 points were just going to go up in smoke and be useless to me, is because of James Harden and to some degree Joe Harris. In my wildest dreams, I never could imagine James Harden, who I consider the greatest savant of a perimeter scorer I have ever seen. He is a wizard with the basketball. He played last night without even really playing. Yeah. He looked like he hadn't played basketball in 2 or 3 years. And I remind everybody, he did play against Boston in the first round, and in the closeout game, he went 34, 10, and 10.
Right.
So what happened to that guy? He was a shell of himself. He was mostly a liability. I agree with Chris. He made a couple of nice passes. He also threw a bunch of loopy, careless passes where I'm saying, what are you doing? Because if he ever got stuck with the ball in his hands, he couldn't even hold on to the basketball.
To your point, Skip, everybody that's been injured and coming to the playoffs, they're on a minutes restriction.
Sure.
Here's this guy plays 46 minutes. Not 36, not 26, right. 46.
And every second was devoted to protecting his hamstring. Yes. Every last second, I'm going to hide on defense, and I'm going to try not to screw it up on offense.
Right.
So if we could see the 9 missed shots that he had last night, they weren't even close. Could we just bang through them real quick just to remind everybody, this is why I didn't think they could come back. Here they are in a row. That's clank left. Then here he is, step back. I think, oh, that's got to be good. It's short. Everything was short. He didn't seem to have any legs under him at all. That doesn't really count, but whatever. That's a heave. And then here we go again, and he tries to beg for the foul that didn't even get touched. And then I thought, oh, that's got to be good, and it's short. And then I think, maybe that was awkward looking to me. That didn't even look like that guy anymore. And then finally I thought, really, maybe? No, it's wide left and off the front of the rim. And then, come on, we need one, and it's way short.
Everything's short. He got no legs, Skip.
No legs. Like this is hard to overcome when that guy is doing that. Psychologically, you're happy he's out there, just his presence.
Right.
But when he's missing 9 shots and making only one little floater off the glass, it's hard to overcome that. It's hard to overcome that Joe Harris goes 2 for 11 from the floor and 1 of 7 from 3. So, yeah, I'm shocked that they came back because, remember, Kevin Durant's up against his nemesis. Nobody guards him any tougher, any smarter, any harder than Tuck does. P.J. Tucker was all up into him, just like he was. What happened in Game 3? Yeah. Game 4, look at the numbers from those 2 games.
11 of 28.
11 of 28 and 9 of 25. And it looked like a repeat of that in the first quarter, and he sort of scratched and clawed out 11 points in the second quarter and was on his way to 11 in the third. Well, I didn't see 20 coming in the fourth quarter because that makes it even more spectacular because he demolished his nemesis in the fourth quarter. Okay.
But Skip, the thing is that when you watch a team, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I disagree with you guys on Harden. Like I thought Harden's presence was huge. Now obviously he was a shell of himself, But the fact, for the first 3 quarters, he was handling the ball a lot. Just him being a ball handler, not having KD handler. Remember yesterday when we talked before we knew Harden was going to play, we thought KD would be bringing the ball up and not only have to be the scorer, but the facilitator. Obviously, he had 10 assists, but the fact that he didn't have to just facilitate for the first 3 quarters, I thought was huge. And Milwaukee still viewed Harden as a threat, you know, and so I think that eased things up a little bit. KD was phenomenal, but if he's got to bring the ball up the court all 4 quarters, I'm not sure he can have that type of game that he goes off the way he did. The 4th quarter, Harden was just giving him the ball and on the side. I agree with that. But I thought his floor game was important. And he had no legs, so he couldn't hit his jump shots. He didn't do anything but shoot threes because he didn't want to go to the hole. But I thought he was big.
Chris, this
46
is
minutes?
But here's the point that we're making. A guy plays 46 minutes and you don't attack him. Everybody knows. Why wouldn't you attack him? Make him guard, make him shuffle, make him slide. The weakest get eaten.
I agree with that.
Like isolated.
Yes.
Like,
that's the problem that I have. Okay, you know.
That's on Milwaukee, right?
Yes, that's my point. You got Holiday. Don't be selling for those threes. If you look at the 4th quarter, they were 1 of 6 from 3. The Nets were 4 of 8. That's how the Atlanta Falcons lost the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Because they're throwing just as much as the Patriots. You got a 25-point lead. Why are you throwing as much as the team that's down 25? You run it. So why are you taking as many threes as the team that's behind by 16? So you give them an opportunity to get back into the ball game. Go back and look at Chris. I said it on Sunday. You can see the way the Bucks are playing. They're not taking advantage of what their strength is that their size. They got Lopez, they got Giannis, they got big guys. And if you look at Kevin Durant, look what Kevin Durant did last night, the last 5 minutes of the ball game. He got off of Tucker, and he went and got Middleton because he said Middleton is the guy that can beat us, not P.J. Tucker. He says, I conserved enough energy. Let me go get Middleton.
Okay, and one last point, back to Chris Broussard. James Harden last night was all about no sudden movements.
Yes.
With the ball in his hands, did he ever attack? He got loose for that one little floater off but he was kind of going half speed because he was wide open. The reason he was leading the league in assists through much of the year, he just gets in the lane like that.
Right.
He just sort of just cuts in you can't keep him out of the lane. Well, they knew from jump last night, he can't get in the lane.
Right.
So to me, that's an offensive liability. And in the 4th quarter, Kevin Durant's bringing up the ball himself a lot. And by the way, last quick point.
No, 4th quarter, but you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say Harden, that's the thing, though. The opponent never views Harden as a liability on offense. So even if he's not hot, you still got to worry about that dude.
And by the way, P.J. Tucker played 33 minutes and guarded Kevin as hard as he could guard him and scored 0 points and had no assists and 4 rebounds.
This is why Kevin Durant was able to play 48 minutes, because he guarded P.J. Tucker. P.J. Tucker just going to stand in the corner. You got to make, if your guy's going to play that much, Chris, you got to make him work at some point in time on the defensive end. Because if you don't, he's saving all his energy for the offensive end. You got to take some of that zap out of it.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.